And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben, and this is my review for Netflix's new original film called Don't Kill Me. It came out elsewhere in 2021, but Netflix acquired the rights. So here we're talking about one of the strangest films I've seen this year, and I'm not sure whether I like it. I'm not sure whether I like it or whether I dislike it. It it has a conundrum. Let's jump in. A 19-year-old Mirta dies of drug overdose with her lover Robin. She then resuscitates alone and finds out that in order to keep living, she must eat living humans. Okay, in order to do a review for this film, I'm going to have to do minor spoilers, so it's not completely spoiler free, but it's one of those films you kind of need to talk about what's going on within the movie to talk about what's happening in a film to do the review. So I'm not going to do like who's dying or what's the spoiler, what happens at the end. I'm just going to kind of touch on bits. So if that's something you don't want, then this is your out. But for the most part, it is a normal review, as non-spoiler as I can do it. Anyway, this is one of the strangest zombie films I've ever seen. And I also don't know whether this film knows what it wants to be. It's also one of the raunchiest films I've seen in a long time, and it made me uncomfortable. There's one scene where there's just a prolonged sex scene, and the people in this, they're youngsters. There's a couple, and it's a prolonged sex scene, and I'm like, oh, Ruben's going on about sex again. And yeah, but it just felt like it didn't need to be in the film. So much so that when I'd forwarded, like you can skip across bits on Netflix when you're checking what's going on. You can literally just skip. I skipped about a minute, and it was nothing that like it was missed out, that it didn't really add anything to the film. I get it, these two are totally besotted with each other, at least in the beginning of the film, and then they die from a drug overdose, and she comes back and needs to eat people in order to stay alive. This is like quintessential zombie, although it does feel like a vampire film a lot of the time. There is one particular I guess moment that reminded me a lot of Blade. There's this corridor with a bunch of people, and our protagonist has to fight them. It feels like it wants to be like a Blade vampire-esque film with a John Wick sort of style, but doesn't have any of that kind of choreographed martial arts. It just feels like it wants to go that way. And then it feels like it wants to be something like 50 Shades of Grey. There are quite a few sex scenes in this that I was just like, okay, one, two, maybe I kind of get where you could have cut away, and they do for one. And I was like, you see, you can do it. And then they prolonged these sex scenes because they're trying to really dive into that romance between Robin and Mirta. And then there are other times where she's like this hungry, crazed zombie person, and like, how does that compete to when you're coming up with a human, and they want sex, but you want to feed? And so you have those kind of tried and tested tropes that I thought, okay, I've seen this before, but I really like the idea of this type of love story with the zombie type of story, with the I don't really know what I am. It's like fish out of water. What do you do? What would you do as a zombie if you get to keep all of your language? You get to keep all of your I guess your mindsets and your memories. There's a lot of flashbacks as well where they kind of go, remember when she did this and when they were so in love, and that's how they kind of keep drawing you back to why she's obsessed, or it feels like it's an obsessive relationship where they're so into each other that they're obsessed with each other. And then we get to, I guess, the arc of the story, which is why I was like comparing it to a Blade-esque story. There seems to be this organization that is hunting things that come back again. And I thought if it was that film and they stuck to that film, that storyline, it would have been interesting. Or if it was the romance story and they were just going to go for that, then that would have been interesting as well. But because they mix the two, it feels like it doesn't know what it wants to be. And I was like, I don't know who I'm rooting for here at one point. I mean, I guess you do. Like, you know who the protagonists are, but for the most part, you're like, yeah, kind of the good guy, kind of the bad guy, but the bad guys are really bad guys, and you're happy when they die. It has a decent amount of gore when there is gore, and there are some beautifully shots, like the cinematography in it at night. It looks really interesting. I love the way they put together the idea of what's happening with the flashbacks. Normally I hate flashbacks because I just like, show me, don't tell me, but don't tell me through flashbacks because that's just boring. There are ways to do it. You can get creative with it. But these flashbacks did add to it because they were intersplicing it with those romance shots, and then you're like, oh, okay, I get it. This is how she was kind of thrust into that world and becomes that fish out of water zombie type person. When you start discovering that there is more to the story, you're like, okay, I'm kind of invested. And I think the acting for the dialogue that our main protagonist is given is fairly good. The way she reacts when she kind of wakes up, the way she reacts when she finds out what's actually going on, that is all kind of believable. And the change of like when the zombie type thing starts to try and take over, you know, you get those in pretty much every kind of zombie movie like this. I thought that was all handled well. Saying that, you know, once you know what the film is, then you come to the point of what are you? Like, I don't know if you've chosen that film, I don't know if you've chosen that kind of theme, but also it's also very light on story and depth. Even though they've given us like background and story and we understand what it is, when you get to the end, you kind of go, oh, that's it? Okay, then I understand the idea of it, but I don't know that it needed to exist. So there are moments in this film that I was like really enjoying, and then there were moments in this film when I was just, this is just feels awkward, and I'm gonna skip past this bit. And then there were like one corridor scene that I thought was really great, and I wanted them to lean into that more. I thought that was a lot of fun. So yeah, mixed feelings as you can see. There is a bit in this film, and I have to kind of hold it up as an example of other films where, I don't know how many times you've seen this, where somebody steals somebody else's mobile phone and they're somehow able to use that mobile phone to call someone else. So this is the first thing that is just wrong. You need to establish how they unlock their phone. Nobody doesn't, like 99% of people who own mobile phones has an automatic lock on their phone, or you need a code or a retina scan or a thumbprint to unlock your mobile phone. That's just one part that irritated me. It's like, why do they keep doing this in TV and films? It's very easy to fix in a line of dialogue or show, previously, this is how I know this. You can write it in, but it just comes off being lazy. And then you get the bit where, particularly in this film, where they type in the number for their dad's mobile number. Again, 99% of people don't know their family's mobile numbers anymore, because that is not what we do in this generation. We call up, the contacts list, you go through the name, you don't know the numbers. Let me know in the comments below, how many mobile numbers do you know off by heart? Like, it's just not believable. And you have to establish things like that. When you get a little bit of annoying things like that, is just, I know I've gone off on a tangent, but it's just not believable, then you're wondering what else is not believable in the film. So I like the idea of it. The romance is good, except that it's quite extreme at times and feels unnecessary. And then there were moments in this film was like, yes, I really wanted you to lean into that. So I'm going to give this a 2 and a bit out of 5 Nicolas Cages. I think it could have gone up there because the idea is interesting, but I just don't like the execution and where it ended up. And just throughout the film, I was just like, but why? Why are you doing this? So let me know what you thought about the film in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching this review. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.